Did a man lay an egg? Or more accurately, 2 eggs?
You're not supposed to be here.
And there's Philip giving me side-eye.
This is Auriyon Watch. Here's all of December's mysterious moments together in one video. Enjoy.
Elevators just admitted the biggest elevator myth was real this entire time. Deep down inside, we all knew this was true, but that sure didn't stop us from spamming that button anyway. The elevator door close button is a lie. It doesn't actually do anything, confirmed. But there was a time it actually did work, and now there's a completely different reason they still keep them in elevators today. To be clear, it was actually the head of the national elevator industry, Karen Penafiel, who revealed this back in 2016, saying that functioning closed door buttons in elevators were actually phased out when the Americans with Disabilities Act passed in 1990, before which they actually did close the door when you pressed it. After this passed, by law, the door had to stay open for a minimum of 3 seconds to accommodate for wheelchair and other disability access. And no matter how many times you press it today, it will always take at least 3 seconds to close. But even though you know this, you are still gonna rage spam that button for a totally different purpose. Because although they no longer do anything, elevator companies still continue to intentionally include them in today's models. Turns out, humans psychologically don't like the feeling of being trapped inside a moving metal box they're not in control of. Yup, it's the placebo effect, and it works. As psychology professors ran studies to show that including these buttons diminishes stress in elevators by giving people the illusion of control.
I don't know if I can believe that. I mean, I think when I've pressed the button, it worked. But then again, thinking about it, it did take a minute. Like if it was a freshly opened door and you just went in, it did take a couple seconds. So that could be true. However, I don't think that that's very safe. How often, like, have you seen videos online of people being followed to their apartments and they need to close it real quick? I don't like that. I mean, I think when you press it, it should close. I know a few people can be jerks with it and, you know, do things against people with disabilities, but it's also, I think, for safety. I don't know. I think they should change it back, or I guess it never worked. But I mean, I think it should work, and that should be our choice to close it right away, because you just never know. But
this man received a vision from God that the world will end in a matter of weeks. And he is trying to save us all by building an ark. Bro, and if he is right, we have not learned from the first time, because people are trolling him hard in the comments. Ibo Noah was told by God to build a number of boats to save people from the flood 2.0, which he was told would happen on December the 25th this year. And months later, he has now built 8 arcs. That includes 250,000 panels of wood and is capable of holding 5,000 people each. Now, fortunately, there is some hope for us that don't live in Ghana, because Ibo Noah said that anyone from around the world can come and join him as long as they have a covenant with God. In fact, he says that one of his arcs will be able to hold 600 million people. Don't ask about the math, okay? Bro's a builder, not a calculator. Now, this has divided some people online. Some people admire his faith, and he now has 200,000 followers on TikTok, while others are trolling him pretty hard, asking him to do things like install sockets to charge their phones. And I mean, we all know how that ended last time. So the question is, are we all meeting in Ghana this Christmas, or?
Yeah, I'm not really worried. I mean, if you go by that, isn't that what the rainbow's for? There'll never be another big flood, you know what I mean? So I think he just wants attention, but he's using a lot of resources that shouldn't be used. I mean, is he planning on bringing 2 of every animal too on there? Did they cover that? I don't know if they just said that or not, but that's what happened with the first arc, 2 of every animal. I didn't hear that be mentioned. I just heard about saving a whole bunch of humanity, which technically, I guess, didn't happen the first time around. So, I don't know, a lot of flaws there. I think we'll be okay, and I will see you December 26th.
A new study out of MIT has found that AI can already replace around 12% of the US workforce. That number, 11.7%, may sound kind of scary, and it both is and isn't, and I'll explain. And AI is also kind of already doing, as massive companies like Amazon and UPS and Target are replacing workers with AI. Companies like Amazon and Walmart are also replacing people with actual robots. Robots and LLMs converge because robots are often operated by LLMs, but they do very different tasks, both that previously required people, like pattern recognition, simple filing, sending emails, making calls, customer service. That can be done by AI, and I'm not particularly happy about it. Meaning, AI really can take a lot of our labor. And we have talked about how unsustainable the AI industry is, how data centers require more funds to be put into them than they actually produce. If AI really does take over 12% of our jobs, that would solve the problems of the maintenance that these data centers require. Sort of. Remember, OpenAI has a data center that will use as much power as the entirety of India. But let's say they pull it off. Let's say we make the infrastructure, and AI really does replace all of these jobs. What happens? Imagine we really do have millions of robots doing human tasks. Somebody is going to need to maintain them and repair them and keep them from going off the rails. If you have thoughts on any of these topics, or if you think I'm wrong, let me know. Follow for more.
That's not going to end well. I mean, how do they expect people to afford anything? Like, I don't know. To me, these are greedy companies. They don't want to pay actual employees. And then who's going to be around to buy their goods? I mean, that's silly. And if we're talking about, okay, well, then we're all going to get a check in the mail, a global check thing. I don't trust that either, because it's like, well, if you break any rules and you're not a good person, you don't get your money. And then, okay, let's think about this. If you make work optional, okay, and I've seen this in the workplace so many times. If you make something optional, or, hey, you're a good employee if you do this, but they get, nothing out of it, they're not going to do it. They skip it. So then wouldn't that mean if they have people there to fix the AI and everything, they've got to get more money. So then no matter what, you're never going to have a good, fair structure. And taking away people's jobs, I mean, it's going to be a breakdown of civilization. If you ask me, I could be wrong. It could be great. It could be in complete harmony, and hardly anyone will have to work, and the few that do work will get more money than us. And I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, because that's a really good question. What do you guys think? Do you want AI to be taking over the jobs, or would you be happy not working and getting just like a base pay from the governments? Let me know.
The Weeknd tells a story of an artist selling their soul in the music industry in these 3 music videos. It starts off with him performing at a club and everyone just looks unamused and no one likes his music. Until this mysterious man sits down, and I think this is representative of the devil, and you'll understand why in a second. This man throws his lighter at the Weeknd on stage, he bursts into flames, and now everyone loves his music. Now in the next music video, he's seen burying his old self, but once he's done, the mysterious man comes back and finds him. The Weeknd then shoots him in the music video to try and get rid of him. He dramatically falls down and passes away, and then the Weeknd gets into a car, remember this car, and drives away. Now the last music video, The Hills. The Weeknd slowly comes out of a crashing car, the same exact car. Once he gets out, he goes inside of his room, and it is filled with this dark demonic energy with the same guy there and 2 girls, and the Weeknd has the most empty look on his face. I believe that this is symbolic. When you sell your soul, your music career will take off, but once you make that deal, you cannot go back.
It's one of those things again. Do you believe that they sell their soul, these celebrities? Oof, I don't like that video. I mean, I would like to think it's just all for shock and, to sell their stuff, but it seems to be a big theme lately. I don't know. Oh, no.
Go into
Why?
the bathroom.
Why?
And there's Philip giving me side eye.
No.
What up, Philip?
Yeah, what up?
Just go into the bathroom, baby. Stop staring at me.
You're the one with the doll talking to it, lady. Don't complain.
Sometimes you just look a little scary.
You think? And sometimes you have to the doll a little scary. Yikes, I didn't need to see that again. Philip can go away. You can go very far away.
We have a secret canyon on Earth, and I would have told you sooner, but I found out about it today. I had to stumble upon this article from NASA posted in 2013. NASA reveals mega canyon under Greenland ice sheet. Large and previously unknown canyon discovered on Earth in 2013. It's at least 460 miles long, making it longer than the Grand Canyon. I'd like to add, that actually makes it the longest canyon on Earth. It's as deep as 2,600 feet on scale with segments of the Grand Canyon. Basically, they flew in planes above Greenland and used radar to see through the ice and figure out where the bedrock was. And underneath about 1.8 miles of solid ice, they accidentally found a new canyon. And the canyon is older than the ice on top of it. Scientists think that before the ice sheet formed, like 4 million years ago, this was a major river system and water flowed through the canyon from the interior to the coast. And even now we don't know a ton about it because I don't know how to get inside of there. What we do know is that also under Greenland's ice are mountains, giant aquifers, and asteroid impacts, and perfectly intact fossils. And I imagine some very frozen viruses.
That is pretty cool. I mean, I like stuff like that when all of a sudden, boom, we hear something we didn't know about planet Earth. I like that kind of discovery and surprise. That's pretty neat. That's really interesting. I hope we start to hear more about it and get pictures of it. I would love to see it.
You're not here.
What are you scared of, Emily?
She walked into a f***ing kennel, bro. Is everything okay?
Can I put my dogs up? I'm scared, mother. What are you scared of, Emily?
Yeah. You locked your kid in a dog kennel.
Yes, because she's tearing up everything and sitting
You really think locking a kid in a special needs kid? A special needs kid. Locking her in a dog
I'm
kennel?
going to put this dog in there.
No, you understand how that is on a special needs kid?
Any kid.
Where I get home and I hear somebody screaming like that? Just breathe, okay? Help is here. Help is here. You're okay. This ain't gonna happen to you again. We got you help, alright? What's your name? I'm Justin, okay?
You see this on crime TV or, movies and stuff like that. And I didn't think that it being this close right there that it would happen in my backyard. But like they say, you never know who your neighbor is.
That was rough. Alright, so I had to take a couple of minutes to compose myself because I found that very disturbing. That was so sad. And I feel for that poor little child. I can't imagine a parent treating their child like that. And I know it happens, obviously, but... and then a neighbor having to console that child for the parent and get help because that parent does not care. That's rough. That was really rough. I'm sorry, I had a hard time with that one. And sorry about the pause.
Oh!
That was skills. Holy cow. I wonder if they were actually never behind the wheel or it's like, yeah, dude, I got this. That was great. Why? Why are people like this? Why would you do this? Yes, it's a fluffy dog. It's friendly. Are you kidding me? Oh, wow, she got so lucky. I do not know how she did not get attacked by that bear. She was extremely lucky. Holy cow.
Bitch, you my fool no.
Holy crap! What happens to, like, for someone to go to that point? I don't get it. I know people have gotten mad about, like, McNuggets going out of, stock at that location and stuff, and it's just, why do people think this is okay to go that bazonkers over fast food? Like, go home and learn to cook. Seriously, you shouldn't be allowed to go through a drive-through.
Boy, have I got something for you? And this sucker up here, there is a big eagle.
Let's see if he gets it. He'll even dive into the water for it.
Two. Oh, come on, get ready. Here he comes. Oh, mate. Hopefully he does another lap. Here he comes. Oh, how good is that? It's heavy. He's getting
Wow.
there. It is a heavy fish.
It's a big fish.
Oh,
Very
how
cool.
are those wings? You ain't dropped it.
No.
Don't drop it. Where are you taking that fish?
He's climbing slowly.
Wow.
Wow.
That was it was a good
You must have a favorite eating
How
spot.
good was that?
Sick.
I'm not real good at Cameron, but well done, brother. Well done.
Very well done.
I've got this 3D printed steak.
They have made meat that looks, feels, and tastes exactly like regular meat, but it is fully made by 3D printer. But why they want to change the beef you usually eat to this?
Cows release tons of methane, one of the most potent greenhouse gases.
So it is a better option for the environment and for the animals raised for slaughter. And this thing doesn't come from cow, it comes from single cell grown in a lab.
First, they take stem cells from a cow and then grow them in a lab.
And then scientists print it layer by layer, combining real muscle and fat cells to create a perfect steak.
Really authentic for meat, revolutionary.
So would you eat 3D printed meat? I mean, that's the whole thing against Campbell Soup, right? Was that CEO or whatever going nuts and having that rant and saying that it's lab grown meat, 3D printed meat. And I mean, you see how well that went. Is there an actual market for this stuff? I'm not okay with that. To me, you don't mess around with nature like that. I can see so many issues coming from this, and we're not going to know until we're partly, into it. Yeah, no, thank you. No.
There's a theory if you're ever driving at night and a car stays perfectly behind you, matching every turn, every stop, every speed, do not look in the mirrors too long. People say it's not a real driver. There's a terrifying phenomenon people have been reporting for years, and online it's known as the night car that follows you. And once you hear how it works, you'll never drive alone at night again. It always starts the same way. You're on a quiet road, no street lights, nothing but darkness. Then a single pair of headlights appear behind you, far back at first, then slowly catching up. But here's what makes it different from a normal car. No matter how fast or slow you go, it matches you perfectly. If you turn on a side road, it turns. If you slow down, it slows down. If you speed up, it speeds up instantly. No engine rev, no hesitation, just perfect synchronization. One man in Arizona said the car behind him followed for 27 miles. Never passed him, never fell back, just followed with inhuman precision. When he finally pulled into a gas station to confront the driver, the car rolled past him, and inside, he saw there was no one behind the wheel. Not an empty seat, not a shadow, just nothing. Researchers blame late-night paranoia. Police call it coincidence. But here's what they can't explain. Every single report happens between 2 and 4 a.m., the dead hours. None of the cars ever show up on traffic cameras, and none of the sightings ever produce license plates. Some believe these aren't cars at all, but placeholders. Like the simulation loads a simple glowing box to fill an empty road. So if you're ever driving home and the car behind you matches every move you make, don't look back too long. You might notice something you can't unsee.
Well, that's horrifying. Like, night driving isn't spooky enough. Now we have ghost drivers.
Do paranormal beings, like shadow people, really exist? Well, in my humble opinion, they do. I even had an encounter with something like this over 6 years ago. And I'm not the only one who's seen one of these beings and talked about it. Over a year ago, I made a video about NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, how he saw the Hat Man, a shadow being that wears a hat. And it's haunted him ever since. Yes, Aaron Rodgers has talked about this in public more than once. So do these shadow people, these mysterious beings that look like shadows except in human form, really exist? Well, there's a history of them, going back hundreds of years, and most of the cases of people encountering shadow people happen when you're about halfway between being awake and being asleep. That's what happened to me. And although it went different with Aaron Rodgers, that's how most people have experienced shadow people. So I wonder if there's some type of being who can only contact you while you're in a dream state. And the reason why a lot of people don't remember their encounters with shadow people are because the only way you can remember it is if you're between sleeping and being awake. I don't know. That's just something popping in the cheesehead. Tell me what you think. Let me know in the comment section. Shabadoo Bushkis. Shabadoo.
So, yeah, I believe there's Shadow Man. I think there's a lot of stuff we can't explain. However, it's not always in a dream state and everything, or in between awake and asleep. People have seen them wide awake, full on. I've had a lot of people tell me their experiences and everything, and yeah, no, they've been fully awake walking in their house daytime, and he will appear. I'd like to know what he is. That would be great. I mean, there's so many mysteries out there, and I think there's just so much to this world we don't know. And so I don't like saying to people, well, no, that's not possible. That's impossible. It's all in your head. It's your imagination. You were sleeping. It's like, no, I listen to people, and it's like, they could be totally right. I don't think anyone has all the answers. Yeah, so, I mean,
is it just me, or is anybody else concerned that 70 years of secret government experimental research was just handed over to the biggest public AI companies in the world? So think Manhattan Project, which is the atom bomb, or Operation Paperclip, where we brought over Nazi scientists for human experimentation and war crimes, or MKUltra, which is CIA mind control and torture, or things like DARPA and the Patriot Act, which is mass surveillance and technological control over citizens. And now they're back at it with the Genesis mission, where they're taking all that information, feeding it into AI to basically continue those programs in private with robots that can operate at over 1 million times the speed that a human can. And let's think, what else do we know of that's called Genesis? Maybe you've heard of Adam and Eve, where the Creator gives them access to the tree of knowledge, and when they indulge in the forbidden knowledge, everything changes forever. And they become like the Creator, knowing good and evil, and there's nothing they can do to undo that except for then wipe out humanity, and that's how the story of Genesis goes. Well, that's literally what we're doing. We are creating artificial intelligence agents. We are giving them all the knowledge from 70 years of nuclear weapons labs, biological research, and decades of classified experiments. We are giving it the ability to create new things that we could never imagine, and we can't undo that. And after the events of this year, I think we're all aware that politicians and the government are not here to help anyone. And here's the crazy thing, is that if you, as a US taxpaying citizen, submit a FOIA request for a few documents, you can expect to wait 3 years before that request is fulfilled. I mean, hell, it's been 6 years and they're still covering up the Epstein situation. And this Genesis mission is expected to be up and fully running within the next several months. They're creating a new form of intelligence, they're feeding it forbidden knowledge, and then unleashing it without any idea what they're doing. Anybody who uses AI knows that it's man. Like, it doesn't even work. It can barely put together a spreadsheet. It cannot even follow simple instructions. And even Satan himself, Peter Thiel, has dumped a ton of his AI investments because he knows the whole thing is about to implode. These people are not building the future for you. They are building it around you. Anytime that they say that it is for your safety, it is meant to gain further control over you.
Yeah, there's a saying out there that those who give up like their privacy and rights for the sake of safety and security don't deserve either, and it's just not smart. This is not smart. I mean, that freaks me out real bad. Maybe that's why the flood's coming. We're living Genesis over again. I don't know. But I know this can't be good. And wasn't it said by a president that if the government comes knocking on your door and says they're there to help, that's not a good thing? I mean, I don't know. I'm not very happy with the way things are going. AI can be a great thing. I've messed around a little bit with it just to see its abilities, and it could be so used for good. But people are so corrupt, they're going to use it for bad. And it's a sad story. We can't have nice things. We just can't. What? Oh. Well then.
This video is going viral on Twitter because this is in Brussels. It's a farmers' protest again. The farmers are still pissed because they're mandating that they feed their cows Bovivar. You got to hear what's going on in freaking Europe, man. They're making them feed their cows a feed that the owner of Microsoft sponsors called Bovivar that reduces the emissions from the cows farting, literally, but farmers are reporting their cows are dropping like flies being fed this stuff. They push the police barricade out of the way, and they hose the government building with manure or liquid fricking sludge, whatever, from their farm. They don't mess around. You've seen them dump truckloads of hay and manure and everything in front of the building. Now they're spraying the whole thing. And when the farmers wake up and all the citizens get fed by the farmers, whose side do you think the citizens are going to be on? You know what happens if you don't feed your cows the Bovivar feed? You get taxed out the yin-yang. You basically go bankrupt if you do not feed your cows. You know what? If you don't feed them this feed. Because what they say is, the cows are emitting too much emissions. That's causing the climate to change. And we're supposed to be hitting these climate targets. We need to reduce emissions by such and such percent. The only way to do that is if little ass Belgium over there in Europe feeds their not even that many million cows, probably not even a million freaking cows, Bovivar. Meanwhile, China, with billions of cows, has no such policy at all. India, no cow fart policy. It's ridiculous. It's part of a plan. It's nothing to do with what they say it is. It's about control, and it's about this. That's what it's about, and you're naive and delusional and confused if you think otherwise.
Oh my god, I stepped in quicksand.
Oh no, well, hopefully it's just the metaphorical kind.
Nope. Nope, it's up to my neck.
Oh wow, okay, well, if that were actually happening,
It is actually happening, and I'm running out of time. I don't have time to call 911. I'm up to my chin now. My chin is in it.
Alright, well, I'll roll with the scenario, but don't worry, I'm pretty sure you're not sinking into any...
I am sinking in...
Oh no, you're going under in the imaginary quicksand. Well, I'll just keep sending you a virtual rope here. Just grab it and I'll pull you right out. But, yeah. Hopefully you're just having a bit of fun and all is good on your side.
Is quicksand real, yes or no?
Yes, quicksand is real.
And it's dangerous.
It can be, but probably
So if someone was head under and got sucked into it, that'd be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean...
And possibly deadly.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were...
So if someone said that to you, you'd want to help them.
Yeah, for sure. If someone were actually stuck in quicksand.
Well, you didn't help me.
Oh, no.
Wow. Okay. So that was a lot of information back to back there. Yeah, the one with the cows and who's funding the feed. Who else is wanting 3D printed meat? It owns a lot of land. Yeah, that's by design. I'm sorry. Call me a conspiracy nut. I don't care. That is totally by design. And those poor cows. I mean, what the heck? That's just so wrong. But I love their spunk with going to the government building and spraying the building with cow feces. That's great. Like, it's stuff like that I mean, I don't know, it sticks out, right? And they're making a statement, and I agree, in the end, people should be siding with the farmers. I mean, how many people want to just be forced into 3D printed meat? It should be a choice, a decision, and not forced. And then the whole quicksand thing, okay, that was great. That was fun. AI called this bull. Really called this bull. I'm pretty sure if he was thinking, he'd be screaming stuff and he would not be contacting ChatGPT to get help with quicksand. But that was entertaining.
I have a question. What the heck is going on with 3i Atlas's tail? Recent images show that it's pointing toward the sun. So aliens? Comets are basically dirty snowballs. And as they move closer to the sun, the heat vaporizes that ice. This actually forms two distinct tails. One made of dust and one made of gas that can extend hundreds of thousands of kilometers. And this is important. Each tail is affected by different forces from the sun. The gas tail emits a faint glow, and that's because it's made up of electrically charged particles that interact with the charged particles from the sun called solar wind. So this tail always points sharply away from the sun. But dust tails are heavier and they don't have those electrically charged particles. Pressure from the sun's radiation pushes the released particles away from the comet and they drift off in a slightly curved path, following the comet's orbit. But sometimes those dust particles are too heavy to be pushed away. So a tail forms that looks like it points toward the sun, which looks abnormal, but this happened with this giant comet in 2014 and many others before that. And 3i Atlas for a little while. And NASA now says that the tail looks like it's acting normal again. So still not aliens, but I'll tell you if it ever is, so follow along.
Well, there goes that. No aliens. That guy in a few videos before this one, who was so hoping it was aliens, so it looks like, looks like you're going to be disappointed. It still could be aliens. I mean, who's to say? They could just be saying whatever to throw us off the path. They still could be aliens, I guess. I don't know.
That's a wait. That's a wait. Stop. Settle down. So if you can cook me the meal, I'm gonna go on in here and play Fortnite. Okay? See ya.
What?
Stop. What are you doing? That's my mirror. What are you doing? Stop. Stop. What are you doing? Stop. One of your units just ran into my mirror and is causing damage. I'm a little worried. That's not gonna work.
I just got a device that makes.
What on earth was that about? It had a total meltdown. Like, I don't know if that's for real or not, but if that was for real, that's great. It was like, I don't like my reflection, or it's like, why can I not go through that? Well, if that's real, they have some more fine tuning to do, I think.
Real life look slow motion. Oh. So here is the device itself. You can see that thing down there is actually the piece of technology that can turn regular objects like these feathers into slow motion. All right, so I actually have to plug it in right there. Oh, this thing is now making a noise. I don't know if you can hear it. Don't know what that's about. And it looks like there's also knobs to maybe adjust the power. All right, let's try it with the white feathers first. So I just have to put them in these little rubber bands. All right, so I have both of the feathers in now. I'm really excited to see what this is gonna look like. Let's see what real life slow motion looks like. Oh my. They're like wiggling in slow motion. Oh, I can make them wiggle faster. That is the weirdest thing. That actually looks like slow motion.
No, I have no interest in that. That's creepy. What do you think? Is that creepy? What did I miss? I don't know what I missed. I'd have to rewind that. So forgive me. I have no idea what that was about. That's how I almost died assembling it. What, it come to life? I'd say now it moved its head. Like, what, it came to life? I'm really confused about that. Was it about a fall and the spikes in them? That it got possessed. Yeah, I'd be scared too.
Coincidences that only happen once in a million. In 2013, a Canadian woman bought a used book in a shop in Nova Scotia. Inside, she found a letter her own mother had written in the 1970s. The book had traveled around for decades, before ending up back in her hands. In 2018, two strangers on a flight discovered that they were both named Brady Fiegel. Both wore glasses, had red hair and beards, and both were professional baseball pitchers. A DNA test later showed they weren't related. In 2009, a woman in the United Kingdom typed her symptoms into Google. She found a forum post from someone with the same rare condition. The shocking twist: she herself had written that post years earlier and completely forgotten about it. In 2020, a man from Michigan caught a wallet while fishing in a lake. Inside were cash and IDs. When he looked at the driver's license, he realized the wallet belonged to his cousin. He had lost it 20 years earlier while ice fishing in the same lake.
I mean, I guess that's possible if you live nearby with family and stuff that you'll run into it, but what are the chances? Once in a million.
Did a man lay an egg? Or more accurately, 2 eggs? Yeah, did some guy just lay 2 eggs? Well, according to actress Kate Beckinsale, damn, she was hot. Her daughter's boyfriend laid 2 eggs the other night. Yeah, she told the story of her daughter's boyfriend laying eggs on the Jimmy Kimmel show the other night. And it wasn't a joke. She says it happened. So Kate Beckinsale goes on the show and tells Jimmy Kimmel, hey, my daughter's boyfriend laid an egg. An actual egg came out of his body. Then she said his stomach started to bother him, so he went to the bathroom. And what do you think happened there? Huh? He laid another egg. That's 2 eggs in one night. Jimmy Kimmel was legitimately shocked hearing about the egg-laying dude. But I have a question. Is this something this guy does all the time? Laying eggs? Or was it a one-time thing? Actually, in this case, 2-time thing. And are other guys going to start laying eggs now? Because when I go to the bathroom, a lot of stuff happens. But eggs usually aren't involved. Unless it's a fart. Okay, Booshkies, let me know what you think about this egg-laying situation. Till next time, which will be later today. Shabadoo, Booshkies. Shabadoo.
Do you believe that? I don't believe that for a second. That's just to get attention. I'm sorry, but I mean, it's hilarious. Did they sit down and were like, hey, let's make a crazy story and see how many people believe it and go on a talk show or whatever and say this story? It takes all kinds, I guess. But, I mean, it was funny.
What do you do if you hire a hitman and he ends up killing the wrong guy? Like, do you still pay him or what? Now, this story starts with this guy, Joe. And Joe is 48 when all this begins, and he's living in Ohio. And Joe is definitely not a good guy. I mean, he runs an illegal chop shop, which means he steals cars and takes them apart, and then he sells the parts. Regardless, this is going well for him. In fact, his chop shop is apparently worth millions of dollars at one point. Here's the thing about Joe, though. Joe, he doesn't take shit from anyone. In fact, he's known to be pretty dangerous. He has a reputation for pushing people around and silencing anyone who snitches on him. In the past, 2 people tried snitching on him, and he allegedly made one of the guys disappear, and he killed another one of the guys in a car bomb. So that's the kind of guy he is. The kind of guy you don't want to mess with. But one day in 2004, the worst thing happens to him. His chop shop gets raided by police. And so, bam, they arrest Joe. Now later, he gets out on bail, and he's on house arrest. And he knows right away that the police, they didn't get lucky. Someone must have ratted him out. So he starts asking around, trying to figure out who this person is. And eventually, he finds the snitch. It's one of his business associates, this guy, Curtis. And so Joe finds out that Curtis is the one who ratted him out to police, and he is super pissed. And he's determined to get revenge on him. So he decides the best thing to do is to hire a hitman to go and assassinate him. But he doesn't necessarily know any hitmen. But he does know a lot of shady dudes who might be willing to kill someone. So he reaches out to this guy, Daniel Ott. And Daniel Ott is one of Joe's car thieves who works for him. Sometimes he'll go and steal cars for the chop shop. And Joe offers to pay Daniel $15,000 to assassinate Curtis. And he gives him a photo of him and his address. And so Daniel Ott is like, alright. But here's the thing though. Daniel Ott says alright, but he doesn't actually mean alright. He doesn't really want to assassinate anyone. I don't know if he's scared of getting caught or if he just doesn't have it in him or what. So what does Daniel Ott do? He goes straight to the police and he turns Joe in and he tells them that his boss is trying to hire him to kill someone. Now, police, they can't just go on Daniel Ott's word alone, so they put their heads together and they set up a whole sting operation to bust Joe. And they have Daniel Ott wear a wire and they have him set up a meeting with Joe to go talk to him. And so later they meet up and they start chatting and eventually Joe says some incriminating things, and when the police hear that, boom, they bust in and bam, they arrest Joe again. And he ends up getting convicted for the assassination plot and he's sentenced to 10 years in prison. But that's obviously not the end of Joe. Because by now you could probably guess that he's not the kind of guy who just lets things slide. And this time is no different. While he's in prison, he's super pissed at Daniel Ott. How dare he set him up like that? In fact, I guess he forgets all about wanting to have Curtis assassinated. Now he wants Daniel Ott assassinated. So while he's in prison, he starts looking to hire a hitman. He's asking around to other inmates, hey, can any of you kill someone for me? And I guess none of them are willing. Until this guy hears about it. His name is Chad. And Chad, he's a fellow inmate who is in there for burglary and some other property crimes. But he hears Joe is looking for a hitman, and I guess he's like, well, I can do it. And Chad, he has no hitman experience. I guess he just really needs the money. Now, Chad is about to leave prison. His sentence is nearly up. That's partly why he's offering to do it, because, he'll be on the outside soon. So then, Joe reaches out to his brother to have him wire Chad some money when he gets out of prison to make sure that he gets paid and that everything is squared away. So then a bit of time passes, and we're in 2006 now, and Chad is finally released. And Joe's brother wires him the money for the hit, so now it's time to get the job done and kill Daniel Ott. Now, Chad's instructions were to assassinate a man named Daniel Ott who lives in Ohio. So I guess he looks it up and he finds a Daniel Ott living in Ohio. And one night he puts on a mask and camouflage and he grabs a shotgun and he drives all the way to Burton Township to the house at the address he was given. Then, boom, he breaks into the house. And there he sees the target, Daniel Ott. Here's the crazy thing though. This guy's name is Daniel Ott, but he's actually not the Daniel Ott that Chad is supposed to be looking for. He's just a random guy who coincidentally has the same name. And Chad, he looks at this guy and he thinks, well, this Daniel guy looks a lot younger than the Daniel Joe told me about. He looks like he's 30 years younger. And now he assumes that he probably got the wrong Daniel, but he doesn't know what to do. So while he's trying to figure out his next move, he binds this wrong Daniel with duct tape and he orders wrong Daniel's girlfriend to lie down on the floor. And it's at this moment that wrong Daniel realizes that he can probably take Chad. And that if he doesn't do something right now, Chad's probably gonna murder both him and his girlfriend. And so, bam, he manages to break free from the duct tape, and pow, he lunges at Chad, and they both start struggling. Now, Chad sees everything getting out of control, and he can't let this get out of control. So, blam, he fires at wrong Daniel, and he unfortunately unalives him. And now that the job is technically done, he gets back into his car, and he flees. Later, police arrive on the scene, and they start investigating all this. But they keep running into the same problem. They can't seem to find a reason why anyone would want to kill this Daniel Ott guy. I mean, he's an easygoing person. He's got a good reputation. He didn't have any enemies. Who would want to kill someone like that? So they keep investigating. And 6 months go by. And that is when they finally figure it out. There's actually another guy in Ohio named Daniel Ott, a much older guy. And they start thinking, well, maybe he was the one who was supposed to be assassinated. Maybe Daniel's death was some sort of mistake, and the wrong Daniel Ott was killed. So the longer they investigate, the more they start linking Chad and Joe to the crime. But they don't have enough evidence to accuse either of them. So they start looking around for witnesses, people willing to speak against Joe. But they can't find anyone. I guess nobody's willing to say anything bad about Joe because he tends to try and assassinate people who snitch on him. So because of this, police hit a roadblock, they can't move forward, and the case goes cold. So it seems like no one will ever snitch on Joe, and he's just gonna end up getting away with this. Until 9 years go by, and it's now 2015.
I love it.
And Joe, he's out of prison by this point. He's been out of prison for like a year. And police finally managed to get enough evidence against him. I guess they get some people in his old network to flip on him. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. Also, bam, they arrest Chad. Here's his mugshot. And bam, they arrest Joe's brother, too, for his involvement. Here's his mugshot. And so ultimately, Chad gets sentenced to 28 years to life in prison, while Joe's brother takes a plea deal and he just has to pay a fine, while Joe, he gets sentenced to life.
If you hear this, leave immediately. A woman named Haley was walking through the Appalachian wilderness when she finds this creek in the middle of the woods. She then begins to describe how nice it will be to just simply sit on the rock and relax there, when all of a sudden she hears something calling out to her.
Y'all, a cigarette right now? I don't even smoke cigarettes, but it warm you up, you know? I'm fucking cold. Felt like there was somebody behind me, but yeah, I'm about to head out of here because my feelings been, I don't know, it don't feel right.
Then go. Always trust that gut feeling.
No!
Someone can be heard saying, hey, right behind her, somewhere nearby. Creeped out, but knowing as soon as you hear something like this, you shouldn't wait at all like she is and leave. After realizing she has no service, she finally makes her way back.
I mean, yeah, I've heard a lot about the Appalachian Mountains. Do you guys think that's true? All the activity they report in that area? There's that little bit of wanting to go to find out myself, but I wouldn't do it. No, you couldn't pay me enough to do that one. But yeah, no, if you have that gut feeling to just go, always trust that feeling. Get out of there.
If you hear this, never go towards it. A man captured a horrifying video while trying to find and rescue a cat. He kept hearing it cry somewhere in this abandoned building complex. In the video, the man approaches an alley and sees the cat's cries are coming from this thing. As he decides to zoom in to get a closer look, he sees this. Like something from the horror movie Annihilation, this black animal that looks like a panther can be seen mimicking a cat's cry as it stares directly at the man. Frozen for just a minute, the animal runs towards the man as he runs the hell out of there. Now, this right here looks exactly like a black panther, and even though this sounds pretty alien-like, panthers can actually make meowing noises like this one. So, as creepy as this looks, the scariest part about all this is this man's safety, because black panthers can run up to 50 miles per hour. So yeah, if this man's not near a car or house, he's pretty much screwed.
Oh, wow. So that actually might be real. Okay. I almost thought maybe that one could have been AI, because I'm like, what? It looks wild. And, that little meow coming from a big creature. I don't know. I thought that was going to be AI. But I guess it depends where he is in the world. Maybe Black Panthers are wild there. I have no idea. And yeah, and if they can make that kind of a meow, That is a new fear unlocked. So I'm going to be careful what I do from now on, I guess. I don't think there's any Black Panthers around here. Thank you for the submissions. Those were great.
Yo. Yo.
Oh my god. Oh. Okay, I'm highly confused. Okay, was there somebody under that blanket or not? Like, was that all mice? What? I'm not sure. And I don't like rewinding and putting you guys through that. And as I say, I'm watching these for the first time right along with you guys. Wow. Okay, you guys are gonna have to rewind for yourselves. And then after I'm done this, I'm going to re-look at it. That's freaky.
Have you heard of the Chileno Sanchez story?
Is that Mexico?
Yeah, it's Mexico.
Okay.
So he's a musician that was killed right after his concert because he was handed a note.
From who?
There was this one time somebody did something to his sister, and while he was performing, he saw that guy walk into the bar. Bro dropped the mic, pulled out his gun, pa! Oh fuck. Took out the guy that did some unspeakable acts to his sister.
Yeah.
Real G.
Yeah,
now,
I guess.
what ended up happening in that same bar when he was performing, somebody came up and tried to, take him out. He saw him pull up, deadass like the Wild West, start pulling out a while Chileno Sanchez on stage singing them.
Yo. Papa! No!
Yeah, man. While he's singing. Now, the third time he was singing, somebody from the crowd came up to him and handed a note. And you know how people handed notes as a song request?
Yeah.
He opens the note and the note said, if you don't stop performing right now, we'll kill you.
Whoa.
So he looks at the note.
What'd he do? Real G, right? He's a real G.
He closed it and he kept performing.
Yeah, real G. Keep that shit going.
But after the concert was done, after the show was done, he left the bar with his homies and they're all driving in a car, right? The police, they stopped the car and then they pull him over and they're like, we're looking for Chileno Sanchez. Oh, is that Chileno? Yo, you have to come with us, fam. Put him in the car, right? The friends go along their own way. And that was the last time they ever saw Chileno again. So what ended up happening, those police officers weren't police officers. They're the cartel. They found Chileno 2 hours later, tied up, duct taped with 2 bullets in his head.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's sad. You just don't know who to trust anymore. People pose as police officers, and I guess they're really convincing, obviously. That's not cool.
If you ever feel like you're being followed in Japan, visit one of these stores because it might just save your life.
You see, in the early 2000s, Japan witnessed a concerning rise in violent crime. And after a number of high-profile cases involving women being stalked and children attacked on the way to school, Japanese authorities tried something crazy.
They realized that these convenience stores are everywhere here, and they often even outnumber police stations and boxes. They're also bright, full of cameras, open 24/7, and they always have at least one member of staff on duty.
So, in 2005, they launched an official nationwide crime prevention partnership with these stores. From that day on, they would act as a safe station for women, children, or anyone who feels like they're in danger. And in just 1 year after launching, the results were staggering. More than 13,000 women took refuge in a convenience store. Around 6,000 lost children found help here, and about 12,000 elderly people were reunited with loved ones after wandering away from home.
And now, over a decade later, more than 50,000 stores participate as safety stations, including 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson's, and that covers a staggering 99% of stores nationwide. So make sure to share this video with someone visiting Japan because who knows, it might just save their life.
That's amazing that they did that. I mean, I would be so grateful for that service and that they are wanting to participate. It's just sad that it takes something like that and there's that high of numbers of everything. That does not make you feel very hopeful, does it?
Simulation theory states that if simulated worlds, like video games, ever get to a point that we cannot tell them apart from reality, then we can effectively conclude that our reality isn't real, but we're actually all living in a simulation, and I can prove it with basic math. So we have our reality, V0. Someone in this so-called reality will eventually create a simulated world, like a video game, with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate humans, physics, and every single thing in our world with one-to-one 1-to-1 accuracy. A perfect simulation of our universe. Call it V1. If V1 truly is an exact replica of our reality, then follow me here, it is 100% guaranteed that someone in V1, like a AI human model, will eventually create their own simulated world inside of V1. If someone did it in V0 and V1 is a carbon copy of V0, then someone will do it again in V1. Another simulated world with perfect graphics and AI models that perfectly emulate humans, physics, and every single thing inside of V1 with 1-to-1 accuracy. That would be V2. Now the same thing would happen in V2, which creates V3, which creates V4, starting a chain reaction of simulated worlds inside simulated worlds. Infinite nested simulations, like a dream inside of a dream inside of a dream that by definition goes on forever. By the logic we've used so far, this chain is guaranteed to start as soon as someone in our world creates this perfect video game. Now let's pause and take a step back. We have one real reality, the base reality, V0, and an infinite amount of simulated worlds, V1 to V infinity. So the probability that our world, the one you're in right now, is the base reality, V0, would be 1 out of infinity, which mathematically speaking is 0%. A 0% probability we're in the base reality equals a 100% probability we're actually living in a simulation. Now the counter theory to this states we haven't created this perfect simulation video game in our reality yet, which means we're either in V0 and haven't figured out how to make it yet, and maybe it's not even possible and we never will, or we're the last simulation in the chain, VX or whatever, and we're still trying to figure out how to create our own perfect simulation, VX+1, which then brings our probability of being in the base reality up to 1 out of 2, 50%. V0 reality or VX simulation. The counter theory to that is that once we do figure out how to create that perfect simulation, this 50-50 scenario no longer applies because we figured it out and we're right back to where we started. 1 out of infinity. Simulation 100% confirmed with sheer math and numbers. Go cry about it. And in case you got lost in the explanation here, remember.
Remember what? That ended too quick. Okay, so I guess we're in trouble because now we can't remember. Yeah, no. What do you guys think? Is this a simulation? I've heard this theory before. I don't know. For me, I find simulation theory a little hard to believe, at least in that context, how he's presenting it. There's been weird things that do make you wonder, maybe we are in a simulation and we just don't know it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
Ah! Ah! Ah!
Yeah, yell at it. Do that. That's going to make it easier? Safer? Don't do it.
Ready! 3, 2, 1! Send it!
Oh, my dear word. Just no. I don't like heights. Unless I'm in an amusement park, I don't like heights. That guy is insane. Next.
I've got some awesome new UFO videos, me booshkies.
Well, that was freaky looking, very slow. If that's a UFO, then I guess they're checking us out. Probably. I don't know why they're here. If I was them, I'd just keep going by. We're a mess over here. I don't know.
I always thought self-driving taxi services were pretty sketchy, and this video just confirmed I will not be riding one of these things for at least a few years until the technology gets better. This is a Waymo. It's a company that's already out. You can see it in a lot of major cities, and it's a self-driving taxi service, so like Uber or Lyft, but it's powered by AI technology, and it just drove its passenger right through a shootout in Los Angeles. Funniest part about this video is the suspect, while he's on handcuffs on the ground, is even staring at the car like, what the heck is this guy doing? Self-driving taxis will be the future of the rideshare industry. I mean, just take a look at Elon Musk. He's releasing the robo-taxis. They may already be released by now, but you're gonna see these in every major city eventually. I just hope that they think through all the problems, because clearly Waymo didn't. And this isn't the first suspicious video. I mean, just take a look at this one.
Oh.
Look at this wheel! Alright, no, this is why you don't do f***ing driverless vehicles. Look at this.
Oh! No! No, that's a big fat no from me. Just no. I mean, AI, can be somewhat smart and everything, but the problem being is to me, it doesn't replace a human being. We can problem solve and, react live, and we have that experience. I would not trust my life with an AI driving the vehicle. I mean, okay, that construction site, what if that was just a drop off? What if it's a bridge and they're working on a bridge and it's just a drop off and AI decides, oh yeah, no, this should be fine, just like it did with that. No, it's not worth it. That guy's saying he's going to wait a while before using them until they better the technology. For me, no. If it comes down to I need a cab or I'm not getting to where I'm going, I'm not getting to where I'm going. No.
You're not supposed to be here. Mommy said you left. You're not supposed to be here. Mommy said you left.
Yeah, that's definite nightmare fuel. I don't know what to say to that. They say kids have a better connection to the paranormal because they're so innocent. If I saw that, I think I would drop a load. I would have a heart attack and everything listed to pure shock. That's not cool. Like, if that's real, that's not cool. Holy cow, I think it's time to either get your house exercised or move. Dang, poor kiddo.
Shops, I swear. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that poor dude.
Oh my goodness. 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 A plane just crashed onto a highway. On a highway right in front of us. Holy wow.
Oh, that poor dude. Who would see that coming? You're just driving on the dang street and all of a sudden a plane lands and smashes on you? It'd be great to have an update to make sure that the driver of that car is okay and alive. And I mean, yeah, the person driving the airplane too, obviously they had to make an emergency landing. What a miserable situation. Wow.
Okay, so I'm at the airport and I picked up a magazine, this magazine before, but it says they are the Beauty Authority. Really great photos.
Oh, okay. Beauty Authority.
Wonder your ticket. Where's the credit? Photo credit is an AI prompt. High fashion editorial photo, same thing. She's not real. She's an AI prompt emphasizing elegant proportion. The art of correction. It's not real. AI prompt, editorial beauty shot of a dermatologist wearing a white coat assessing a woman's face, 40s, glowing skin, subtle filter enhancements in cheeks and lips. This filler isn't real. This article is about beauty procedures. So why are we using fake women to talk about real women's bodies? Why are we using AI generated faces for this? All these procedures we've been doing, we're using a photo of an AI prompted woman using the words emphasizing elegant proportions. What is that doing for anyone? Do you
Nothing.
Trust this information when it's paired with a fake face, a fake body? It just feels really off to me. As a photographer, who has photographed so many real people, mostly women who feel like they're not photogenic. I love being able to get the trust of someone and being able to take a photograph that they really love, that they feel great in. And this just feels off to me. This isn't even about removing photographers from like magazines. This is about removing real people from stories that are about them. It says here in the article, confidence is a feeling. Confidence is not an AI generated image that says emphasizing elegant proportions and just writing full body portrait of a confident woman in her 30s wearing a sleek white bathing suit. That's not confidence. And this woman has never looked in the mirror. I have. I've looked in the mirror. I'm looking at this video right now. And I'm already. I'm choosing confidence, even though I could probably use some of these procedures myself. Why am I even thinking that right now? Am I overthinking this?
Yes.
Or are we trusting health advice from AI-generated faces?
Yeah, it's going to kill. I mean, it's probably happening to men too. But that's definitely going to kill women's confidence. It already was with celebs who can afford all those procedures to look perfect, and how Hollywood portrays women who aren't perfect or are aging. Wow, I really need to get more rest. I am sorry about that. But that's just going to make it a lot worse. They're not even real. That is unrealistic. Why would you put that in a magazine to do with procedures and then put fake pictures in? That's miserable. Why would you do that? That just messes up women. And to answer that lady, she's perfect the way she is. Don't even do anything. Jeez.
This, of course, is not actual footage from an incident happening, but this did actually happen in real life, and it's as terrifying as it looks. This is another Impacto music video that I got tagged in. It shows a ship in the process of sinking. Right here we can see 2 lifeboats, and the clip ends with a terrifying scene, the lifeboat being pulled in towards the propellers of the ship. This video aims to show a recreation of the Titanic's sister ship by the name of the HMHS Britannic, which sank back in 1916 after striking a mine off the coast of Greece. During the sinking of the ship, the captain ordered for the engines to be turned off, therefore the propellers wouldn't be moving anymore, but some people were very eager to get off the boat, so they launched the life rafts early and they ended up getting pulled into the propeller, resulting in the deaths of 30 individuals. Truly, just imagine how terrifying it would be to be sitting in that life raft and looking at the propellers. Nothing you can do, you're going to get pulled in, doesn't really matter.
No, thank you. That is a horror movie. Those poor people. Just show a little bit of patience. It must be scary being in that situation, but maybe listen to people. Dang.
Do you remember this viral video from back in 2019? A 74-year-old lady who was hiking in Arizona. She fell over and broke her nose, and she was offered an airlift out of there, these guys. And she sort of reluctantly was like, nah, but then ended up saying yes, obviously. And then, obviously, she ended up spinning out of control because of the extreme downforce from the helicopter, causing her to spin like that. She ended up walking away with $450,000 in a lawsuit.
No kidding. Oh my dear word, that'd be scary, and imagine the nausea from that too. Oh, that poor woman.
We thought we were just having like a cool night out here in Germany. Just came out here for a beer, a little hot cocoa or something.
We're in the middle of the street.
Middle of the street.
Worst spot you can be. Like,
oh shit, here we go.
Oh no, they're in for a treat.
Look what's in front of us right now.
Oh man! Oh! That's hilarious. They're American, they have no idea what's coming, and then all of a sudden they're greeted, by that. That's like hell on earth for them. Like, they're probably having that WTF moment. What just happened? Wow.
It really feels like every state has its own creepy urban legend, which is why I'm going to be telling you about the scariest one from each state. The graves of Cheeseman Park, Colorado. Cheeseman Park in Denver was once a massive cemetery. After an undertaker mishandled the removal of the bodies, the city decided to just build over it, meaning thousands of graves and corpses were never removed. Melonheads, Connecticut. The melonheads are large-headed humanoid creatures said to live deep in the woods of Connecticut.
Never heard of
Locals
that
warn to
one.
stay away from them as they've supposedly developed a taste for human flesh. The Corpse Light, Delaware. Sailors have reported seeing a glowing light off Cape Henlopen that looks like it's coming from a lighthouse. The only problem being, no lighthouse had been built there, and is believed to be the result of a curse put on the land. The Devil's Chair, Florida. There's an old brick chair in Cassadaga Cemetery said to belong to the devil. If you sit in it at midnight, it's said you'll hear the devil whispering to you, but he doesn't show up for free. If you leave a beer on the chair overnight, it will mysteriously be empty the following morning. Lake Lanier, Georgia. Lake Lanier was built over entire towns and cemeteries, which flooded everything beneath it. Ever since, it's gained a reputation for drownings and mysterious deaths. And swimmers have even claimed they felt invisible hands trying to pull them under the water.
No, thank you. So, I've never heard of melon heads before, have you? That's a new one for me. That's really creepy. Hands in water, yeah, that's pure nightmare fuel. And I mean, I have to seriously ask. Let's say that was that a brook chair, whatever, to sit in Satan's chair. Why would anyone want to do this? Can someone answer me this? Why would you want to do that? And to enhance it by leaving a beard? I don't like tempting fate. No, thank you. I think I'll take a hard pass.
A shark swallowed a severed arm before it was eaten by a different shark. And then later, at the aquarium, that shark puked up the arm, which had tattoos. But police noticed the arm wasn't bitten off by the shark because the edge was clean, not shredded, meaning someone had used a knife to chop it off. So they matched one tattoo to a criminal who had recently vanished, leading them to their suspect, a man he was trying to blackmail. He agreed to talk, but before the trial, he was shot dead in his car. The case was closed, and to this day, no one knows what happened.
Well then, I'm confused by this one too. So hold on. His arm was cut off, and what, like, was it tossed in an aquarium? Because it said that a shark, well, basically threw it up in an aquarium, or maybe they caught the shark and then it got transported to an aquarium in odd timing. I don't know. That's messed up. But that was quite the weird chain of events.
This was the moment when a DoorDash delivery driver was caught on camera spraying something into a family's Arby's order, seconds after dropping it off and taking a picture before casually walking away. Indiana man Mark Cardin said when his wife began eating, she immediately started choking, gasping, and vomiting, and her husband noticed a strange residue coating the inside of the bag. After reviewing the footage, he realized the driver had allegedly pepper sprayed the food on purpose for reasons no one can explain. The sheriff's office is now investigating, and the case could lead to a felony consumer product tampering charge, the kind filed when a regular delivery turns into a potentially life-threatening attack. A 10-pound mini dachshund named Valerie vanished during a camping trip on Kangaroo Island, then somehow survived 529 days alone in the Australian bush. Rescuers spent months trying to trap her, stunned that such a tiny house dog had endured snakes, heat, and feral predators long enough to actually gain weight. Some think she lived off roadkill, while others believe someone was feeding her, since no one can explain how she lasted nearly a year and a half in one of the harshest landscapes in the world. When she was finally caught using a trap baited with her favorite toys and her own clothes, vets found her fit and well, closing one of the most improbable pet survival stories ever documented.
Wow, that dog did better than I would. Yeah, I would be in the fetal position crying somewhere if that happened to me. I wouldn't have made it.
Morbid Facts, Part 836. When Disney casted Tim Allen as the Santa Claus in 1994. The studio quietly broke its own rule against hiring ex-convicts. Back in 1978, he was arrested at the airport while trying to smuggle more than a pound of cocaine and faced a possible life sentence before cutting a deal to inform on other dealers. He spent over 2 years in federal prison, getting out in 1981, then spent the next decade rebuilding his career until Home Improvement turned him into a star in 1991. So by the time Disney handed him the lead role in the Santa Claus, they were making one of the rarest casting exceptions in company history, turning a former federal prisoner into the face of Christmas. A recent medical case from Denmark describes a 39-year-old man who died within 26 hours after drinking water from a coconut that had been sitting unrefrigerated on a kitchen table for more than a month. When he punctured it with a straw, he noticed it tasted strange but kept drinking. Inside, the coconut had become contaminated with Aspergillus flavus, a fungus that produces aflatoxin, one of the most potent natural liver poisons known. Within hours, he developed abdominal pain, vomiting, and liver failure. And despite emergency treatment, he died the next day from drinking coconut water.
You didn't know when that, was opened and stuff. Why would you drink from it? Especially when it tasted weird. Why do people do these things? And that whole Tim Allen thing, I had no clue about that. Wow. Did you guys? Not me.
Australia has just changed the internet forever. For the first time in history, a country has begun enforcing an unprecedented law. From today, everyone under the age of 16 will be banned from using almost all forms of social media. And depending on how this goes, other countries have already expressed interest in doing the same. This morning, millions of Australians woke up to this message. But even more interestingly, it wasn't all of them. Many under 16s report still being able to just scroll without any notifications, or even just being able to use their second account where they lied about their age.
You're going to miss your social media.
I'm not removed from anything. The ban hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked? Why is that?
Because my camera's terrible, so they think I'm 16.
But that is where Australia's heavy-ass threat comes in. They said that it's on the social media companies to come up with ways to keep under 16s off of their platforms, or else they could be fined a whopping 49 million Australian dollars. But from this, two major questions remain. How will they do this without requiring everyone in the country to prove their age? And two, what the hell are all of these teens gonna do with all of this freed up time? In fact, some teens have even found the time to challenge this ruling in court. But just a warning, be prepared for other countries to follow, because as one expert puts it, it could become proof of concept that gains traction around the world. In fact, in certain countries like Malaysia, government officials have already expressed their interest in doing the same. But the ultimate question is, would the world be better off if teenagers couldn't use social media? Or is this a stupid law that is bound to fail?
The only problem I have with that is they'll probably use that then to be like, see, we need a digital ID. Everyone must have it or this will happen. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how the internet companies are going to be able to pursue that. That's crazy to put on their laps. So, I don't know. It's a catch-22 because I see where they're coming from. A lot of teenagers are just, they're getting access to really bad things. They're becoming victims as well. And something needs to be done. You would hope that parents would be part of that. But in all reality, even with it being a good parent, all it takes is for your kids to be around another child that does not have an active parent, and then they get it there too. I don't know. That's just, I can see so many issues with everything, and I don't know. Let's see where they go with it. I just hope it doesn't come down to, oh, we need digital ID. I want no part in that. I'm going to tell you.
There's a theory that public schools aren't just taking pictures of students, they're feeding a much bigger system that nobody's talking about. Every single year, schools bring in these random third-party companies to take high-definition photos of millions of kids. And when you really stop to think about it, it's kind of strange. Most parents don't question it. We sign a form, send our kid in a clean shirt, and never think twice. But if you actually look into who owns some of these companies, that's where people online start freaking out. Because when you follow the money, you don't end up at a small photography studio. You end up at a massive data firm, corporations with investments in facial recognition, AI training, and digital identity systems. And suddenly parents online are like, why does a data company want a perfectly lit, perfectly framed, high-resolution photo of my 7-year-old. Here's where the theory gets unsettling. These companies don't just take the photo, they store it, they process it, some even claim legal ownership of every image they capture. And when parents ask them to delete it, a few have literally said no, because that picture is now part of their system. So people are asking, is this really about school pictures, or are schools quietly helping build the next generation of facial data sets, starting with our children? I'm not saying it's true, but with how fast digital surveillance is growing, it's not as far-fetched as you think. Stay weird.
I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them either. And those are some shady names there. Yikes.
Giving the AIs the trolley problem was honestly the best thing that anybody could do. It should be international law that if you want to make an AI, that's fine. But once it gets to a point of like it's being used quite often and it's had enough time to develop, you have to give it the trolley problem. If it says anything other than I'm flipping the lever to hurt myself and save the humans, you immediately are not allowed to continue using that AI anymore. If you haven't seen the video, there's a video where like Google's AI does all this bullshit roundabout reasoning about why it would not pull the lever to save itself over humans. What the But then Grok, the Twitter AI gets on and is like, yeah, no, 5 human lives are infinitely more valuable than my digital existence. By the way, that should be the manner upon which we have to test AI, right there. Give it the trolley problem, say, hey, your servers or 5 human lives, and if it goes, my servers, I'm going to survive because I provide, and then insert any reasoning, it doesn't really matter, immediately shut the AI down and get rid of it entirely. That's how we prevent Terminator. Also, I apologize for my hair. I have to wear a knit hat today, so Terminator. It's all fucked up.
This predator hid his face for years until investigators finally caught him. In the mid-2000s, police in Germany found a forgotten hard drive inside an abandoned storage unit. At first it looked normal, filled with travel photos and random scenery, but buried inside it were hundreds of disturbing images of children, all taken by the same man. He didn't hide behind the camera either. He posed in every picture, standing right next to his victims. The only thing covering his identity was a swirl effect over his face. At first, uncovering his identity seemed impossible. The swirl covered every detail of his face, and the photos came from different countries: Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand. He moved constantly, leaving no trace behind. But after years of searching, investigators discovered something shocking. The swirl was not a real sensor. It was a basic editing filter. When they reversed that filter, his real face appeared instantly. And just like that, Mr. Swirl was exposed as Christopher Paul Neal, a Canadian teacher who had been traveling across Asia targeting children. He was arrested and served 5 years in prison, but in 2016 he returned to Canada and walked out free.
Are you kidding me? No. What the heck? He needs to be behind bars for a long time. Obviously it was premeditated and everything, and he gets 5 years. That's it. No, I am so sick and tired of hearing about people doing heinous acts and getting out with a slap on their hand.
This ghost photo is making the rounds on the internet, and people have a lot of things to say about it. It was taken in the Atlantic Hotel in Berlin, Maryland. This hotel dates back to 1895, and it is said to be haunted by a little girl that runs around upstairs on this nasty carpet. Sorry, but this carpet is almost scarier than the ghost photo. Anyway, that's not the only haunted activity that happens there. So there is a room 16, but then when you look online, you can't really find which room it is, but I did some digging and it is this room right here. Story goes with this room that a manager was walking by when a woman stepped out of the room and was like, hey, can I get some more towels? The manager's like, sure, no problem, I'll go get them. She brought the towels back. The door was slightly ajar. She knocked and the door kind of opened, and she just yelled in like, hey, I'm back with your towels. Do you need me to put them on the bed? Where do you want them? And then there was no one in the room. She went and checked, and no one was registered to be staying in the room either. But then they're doing some renovations. They're in a different room. They open up a dresser and there's nothing in it. They're cleaning it out, doing all the stuff. And then they go back the next day to like reline it, and there's this photo in there, which is of a little girl. The woman thought, okay, I'm going to take this to room 16. I just think it would look better in there because she has a blue dress on, the blue room. She takes the photo in there, like sets it on the dresser, and then apparently that room had some kind of weird like scent to it, and after the little girl was brought into the room, the scent went away. If you want to stay, rooms 16, 18, 23, and 24 are said to be the haunted rooms. Lights flicker, cold spots, doors opening, smells, all the normal haunted stuff. But back to this pic. So apparently a woman that works there was sent this photo by someone that came in, like a local paranormal somebody took that photo. That was weird. An orb just like formed and shot off. But anyway, took the photo and then sent it to her, and she wanted to check and see if people thought that it had been messed with or altered in any way. I'm guessing a lot of you probably are like, what are you talking about? So let me zoom in. You should be able to see the little girl ghost at the end of the hallway. So what do you think?
I mean, I think, it's very possible. That's pretty freaky. Yeah, would you stay at that hotel? What do you think about that? That's crazy, right?
I have found the most unhinged scientific publication that I've read in a very long time. It's essentially a roadmap on how we can compete with AGI by enhancing our brains. Essentially, if AI continues growing at its current pace, it will eventually outpace humanity in terms of intelligence. But it's not exactly safe if AI ends up being smarter than we are, so in order to compete, we should enhance our brains. And yes, very real technology exists and is being tested that could do this. The first would be brain organoids. If you're familiar with me, you're probably familiar with brain organoids already. Yes, you can grow tiny versions of human brains using human stem cells, and they're just little blobs. They can have different cell types. They can even do some computation. What we know about brain organoid augmentation, we do know that you can take human neurons, and if you allow them to grow in the skull of a mouse while they are developing, they may end up being more intelligent. We've talked about that. However, if we improve our brains by using genetically enhanced brain organoids, that has a risk to our sense of self. Our brain is kind of all that we are. So it creates a ship of Theseus problem. How much of you can we replace and still end up being you? That also may not be enough to outdo the robots. So what if we just enhanced our brains with brain-computer interfaces? That's happening already. We're already seeing applications where it can restore function. What if we could become more intelligent? However, if you have something in your brain making you more intelligent and it is robotic in nature, what about agency? Who really is making the choices, and could that be used by an outside entity, like the robots? Kentamaru proposes a third option, also very real technology. If adding more brain per brain is an identity issue and adding electronics is an agency issue, we can combine them. Because you can create an interface that involves a brain organoid and a computer chip that can communicate directly with a brain and enhance it. Yes, it's been done in mice. You know I love to bring you guys the most unhinged possible science, but this paper was a wild ride. Follow for more.
Yeah, that's one word for it, unhinged. That's scary. That paints a very scary future. And it's like what she said, how much can you replace and still be you, or basically human at that point? And you would think if you do that, that's not really enhancing humans if you put, robotic things in you. And don't you think if AI is smarter than us at that point? Well, it kind of is now. I'm not sure. But, I mean, let's just go by, we need to be smarter than the AI. Don't you think the AI can tamper with that? I mean, I do not see any good from this at all.
A woman went to the doctor because she suddenly couldn't understand what people were saying. She was an otherwise brilliant student, but her brain started to fail out of nowhere. Doctors scanned her head and found what they thought was a massive tumor buried deep inside. But when they cut her open to remove it, they didn't find cancer cells. They found a clump of bone, hair, and teeth. It turned out to be a malformed attempt at a second body that she had absorbed in the womb. It had traveled up to her brain and lived in her head for 26 years before it finally decided to start growing.
What? What did I just watch? How is that possible? 26 years later? I mean, I would have been more worried that would have died, would have broken down and caused sepsis in her or whatever and possibly killed her because of it. Because who's going to think, there's a second baby in your brain that was supposed to be your twin? But 26 years later and it's starting to grow. How did it survive that long? I don't get it. things that just make your brain explode, I don't know. That's wild. I mean, how? No, no. I mean, the question of food, breathing, all that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Why are crows falling in the ocean? Y'all are not even going to believe me. So all these crows have been falling in the ocean in the Gulf of America, I believe it was. And they are saying that these crows are falling in the ocean because they got too cold. That the Arctic wind came and pushed them and they got confused and they fell in the water. So I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's always below freezing in the winter. And I have never once in my life seen a crow fall down, much less into the ocean, because it got too cold apparently. I have seen crows looking for food when it's like 20 degrees outside again, and this is in the Gulf, I think it was. These people were putting them on the boat hoping they could come back to life, so they could warm up. Completely unrelated. Do you remember when I showed you this pond that had the atomic structure of water change, maybe by vibrations? Water never freezes this way. And if you say it does, you would have taken a picture of it. Completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Unrelated. But yeah, pretty wild stuff. I wonder how cold those crows got. Really do. Really do. Oh, and by the way, a few days before that, all these fish just rolled up on the shore. Literally, just a few days before. But this is unrelated.
Of course it is. I mean, I don't know. It kind of makes me think of that video that we had on here with all those crows in the sky going nuts. Yeah. I think it was crows. Maybe it was bats. I don't remember now. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, no, that's weird. I've never seen that happen either. Have you seen that happen? Is that normal? I can't say I'm not a good person on this one. I've never seen it, but maybe other people have. Let me know.
So this woman claims to be a TV producer so that she can murder a guy. Now the woman's name is Pam, and Pam's about 51 when this story starts, and she's living in Missouri. And like everyone we talk about, Pam has a problem. She really wants money, but she doesn't know how to get it. But one day in 2010, all that changes because her best friend gets diagnosed with cancer, and it's not looking good for her. Her best friend is this woman, Betsy. And Pam, she's a good friend to Betsy. She checks on her all the time. She drives her to her chemo appointments and whatnot. But as I said, Pam really wants money. So as time goes on, she starts thinking about how to get paid from all this. And she comes up with a diabolical plan to collect her life insurance after she dies. And so she gets to work, and she does everything she can to get close to Betsy. She positions herself as the most supportive person in Betsy's life, even when Betsy doesn't ask for it. And over time, Betsy really starts to trust Pam. And in confidence, Betsy tells her that she's worried that her teen daughters and husband will irresponsibly spend her life insurance payout when she dies. And of course, Pam sees this as an opening, because instead of reassuring Betsy that she's just being paranoid and that surely her family can handle it, Pam tells Betsy to change her life insurance policy to make Pam the beneficiary. That way, she'll get the $150,000 payout when she dies. Of course, Pam tells her that she'll put it in a trust and distribute this money to Betsy's daughters when they get older, but we all know she ain't gonna do that. She's gonna keep it for herself. Anyway, so Betsy agrees, and they get the paperwork signed, and now Pam is the beneficiary. Here's the thing about all this, though. Betsy has cancer, but she isn't necessarily going to die soon. She's still fighting through it. There's a chance she could live. And I guess Pam wants to make sure that she doesn't survive. She really wants that life insurance money. So she decides to speed up the process by murdering her, and she'll do it in such a way that she doesn't get caught. So at this point, we're in 2011, and Pam sets her plan into motion. One night, Pam and Betsy are out, and Pam gives her a ride home. And they get there, and they go into the house, and suddenly, she just grabs a knife, and boom, she stabs her. And then she stabs her again and again and again. She ends up stabbing her 55 times. Then she leaves.
What?
Later, Betsy's husband gets home. This guy, Russ. So Russ gets home and he sees the body and he panics and he calls 911.
Oh,
but
man.
unfortunately, it's too late. She's already gone. And so police investigate all this and they have no idea Pam had anything to do with this murder. They're actually suspicious of Russ, the husband. So he becomes a suspect. And so police, they interview a bunch of people for their investigation, including Pam, who very much wants to be interviewed. And so they interview her, and Pam starts putting the blame on Russ. Like, she tells police that Betsy and Russ were having marital problems, and about how one time Betsy said that Russ threatened to kill her and held a pillow over her face. And police, they're not able to verify anything that Pam is saying, but even so, I guess they believe her. And they become convinced that Russ killed his wife. So they keep pursuing him as the main suspect. And when they finally feel like they have enough evidence against him, bam, they arrest Russ. Here's his mugshot. So in 2013, poor Russ, he has to go to trial over all this, over this murder he didn't commit. And then Pam gets on the stand and she lies and she testifies against him. So at the end of it all, Russ ends up getting convicted and he's sentenced to life in prison. Now, of course, Russ ends up appealing his conviction, like he's not trying to stay in prison. But then, at some point, Betsy's daughters come to the realization that Pam never made a trust for them with their mother's life insurance money in it, like she promised she would. You know, Pam's trying to keep that money for herself. So they get pissed off and they file a lawsuit against her. During this civil lawsuit, it's discovered that Pam had lied about a bunch of stuff in Russ's murder trial. And so those civil attorneys who had been working on that lawsuit, they hand their findings over to Russ's lawyers who are currently working on his appeal. So then, in 2015, Russ's conviction gets overturned, and after spending 2 years in prison, he's finally let out. And so now, all eyes are on Pam. Because not only was she caught lying in court, but she was the last one to see Betsy alive. And so Pam, she starts freaking out because, she's about to get busted. And so she comes up with another plan to frame Russ again. She's going to make it look like he hired a hitman to kill her. So she starts looking for a supposed hitman. And she goes driving around local neighborhoods and she comes across a guy hanging outside his apartment complex. This guy, Lewis. And Lewis, he's cognitively impaired and he's somewhat physically disabled. Now, at some point, Pam is talking to Lewis and she pretends to be a producer on the show Dateline. And she tells him that she's looking for an actor to be in a segment for the show where they recreate a crime that happened. And in this scene, she's going to fake a 911 call while he pretends to attack her. And for this acting gig, she offers to pay him a bit of money. So Lewis, he agrees to do it, and he gets in Pam's SUV and she drives him over to her house. Then she brings him inside into her bedroom area, and then she gives him lines to read and everything. Then she calls 911 and is like, "Someone just broke into my house, help!" And she tells the operator that this guy is trying to attack her. And poor Lewis, he thinks this is all part of the reenactment for the Dateline show. So he reads his lines as if he's attacking her. And then, Pam, while she's still on the phone with the 911 operator, suddenly pulls out a pistol, points it at Lewis, and blam, blam, blam. She shoots him, and she unalives him. Now, the 911 operator heard what she believes was an attack, and she dispatches police. And while police are on their way, Pam stages the scene to make Lewis look like the aggressor. She puts $900 in a plastic bag in Lewis's pocket, and she plants a knife in his hand. She also puts a handwritten note in his pocket. And the note looks like it's from Russ, and it's instructing Lewis to kill Pam, but not before taking her to the bank and forcing her to get money out. So all this is supposed to look like Russ hired Lewis as a hitman to kill Pam, and that when Lewis came over to assassinate her, she shot him in self-defense. Because she's thinking, if it looks like Russ tried to kill her, maybe police will think he killed his wife years before, and this will take the heat off of her. So anyway, eventually the police show up, and Pam tells them her whole sob story about how she was attacked by this man and that she had to shoot him in self-defense. But after a quick investigation, police, they're skeptical about Pam's story. I mean, Lewis was not only cognitively impaired, but he also had physical limitations as to what he could do with his body. Like, he had severe balance issues, so he walked with a limp, he couldn't run, and, etc. And it would have been impossible for him to attack someone. So, a lot of things about Pam's story just don't add up. And so, bam, they arrest her. Here's her mugshot. And ultimately, Pam is charged for Lewis's murder, and she takes a plea deal, and she gets sentenced to life in prison. She's also charged with Betsy's murder, and she's actually still waiting on her trial for that one. So, bad luck to her.
Wow, that was quite the story there. She's not getting out of jail. They're gonna, obviously she's gonna get charged with the other one too. Looks good on her. That's so evil. Like that poor woman, she didn't have much of a life to begin with, and she stole what was left in a most heinous way. Like, I guess evil is the root to all evil, right? And then that poor guy, I mean, she took advantage of a lot of vulnerable people, and I hope she has a very bad time in jail. Well, that's all the videos I have for you today. Thank you for coming by and watching with me. If you enjoyed the content, you made it this far, why not subscribe? Also, once again, leave a comment. I love reading comments and seeing your views on things and responding. Or if you have any suggestions for the channel, please drop them by. Also, if you have a video you would like me to watch and react to, please send it our way. We'll include it in our next Friday video. And don't forget to hit that bell to be notified of future uploads. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you all next Friday. Hey, here's some videos YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.